This meeting to order. By my clock, it's 7:03. First item on the agenda tonight is public comment. And I know Milt Hathaway has requested the opportunity to speak. So Milton, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, I'm going to pass for tonight because I had to do a little more research on my comments. But I
Okay,
appreciate the opportunity. Thank you very much. Bye.
okay. Is there anyone else on the call who wishes to comment?
Pam Sawyer.
Go ahead, Pam.
So
Would you identify your address, please, for the record?
Pam Sawyer, 95 South Road, Bolton, Connecticut.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
So I just wanted to make sure that folks were aware, the Bolton 300th plus one. We're looking at any fall activities that the town might have, if we could catch up on those. I believe the Congregational Church is looking at doing a couple of events, still the pumpkin event and then the Christmas tree event. So we could talk about getting together a small posse to put together a tree for that. And that's all I have for this evening. And sadly, of course, we were all heartbroken when the parade was canceled, but it's totally understandable.
Okay, thank you for that update. We will put some information out in the Bolton Bulletin, looking for volunteers for a 300th tree and ask them to reach out to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mhm. All right. Next is the approval of our minutes from August 3rd. Are there,
I was muted, sorry.
oh, okay.
I moved the adoption.
Okay, is there a second? Bob DiPietro, I'm seeing that you seconded. Any discussion on the minutes? Mike, do you have any discussion on the minutes or are you good?
I'm good. Nothing.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we weren't missing you. It looks like there was some technical issues going on there.
I'm just trying to bring up on the other computer the packet. That's all.
Ah,
And I'm not real good with it. It's my wife's new
new toy.
computer, and I am not good with it at all. But
Well,
getting there.
You should be grateful she's there to give you a hand.
Yes. Yeah. I'm calling for technical assistance a lot.
I feel that pain. All right, there being no comments on the minutes, all those in favor of them being accepted as presented?
Aye.
I
That's unanimous. Jim, I'm not seeing Linda on the call. Is she going to join us?
You're not talking to me, are you?
No, Linda.
Unfortunately, she is unwell and unable to join us.
Okay.
We
so
will
you're-
have to deal with the minutes.
Okay. That's fine. I'll try to remember to repeat who did what.
Thank you.
Sorry, I thought you said Kim, not Jim. I'm like, who's Linda?
Linda was supposed to be our clerk tonight because Yvonne, who usually clerks for us, is doing inland wetlands tonight. They're having a meeting at the same time on the permits for Mark Anthony Lane.
Any other word on that since our meeting the other night?
No, that's just, nothing's moved forward unless, Jim, you've heard something today. I think he's hiding.
Yep.
All right.
Sorry,
course-
no, I apologize. I'm having internet issues and I was just trying to make sure the connection from my antenna was good for,
Ah,
no new information other than the fact that I did speak with Todd from Hemlock here today, and they were going to attend the wetlands meeting this evening, which is something that we want them to do.
Yeah, good.
good. All right, thanks for that update. In your packet, we have a letter of resignation from Pam Parsons, who is the assistant assessor in the tax department. And her last day was several weeks ago. We have been able to get our fall intern in so that that work is being done. And Jim has done the internal advertising for that position. We also received a letter from Matt Anderson, who is the Vice President of Operations from the Hartford Marathon. On behalf of the Hartford Marathon Foundation, Webster Bank, and our participants, thank you for opening up your town, your trails, your roads, and your community to us for the second running of the Rymacon Relay presented by Webster Bank. Last Saturday's event was once again a truly remarkable achievement, not only for our organization and the participants, but for the entire region. We could not have done it without the coordinated efforts we received from the amazing communities like yours along the route. Thank you. Thanks again for your support. See you in 2022. So any other correspondence, Jim?
Yes, that was in your package. We have a 2-page from MTS Builders back on July 17, 2019, had approved basically an extension of a building permit with a reef. Basically, they would only have to pay 50% of the cost, and they are requesting that did expire, and they are requesting based on COVID. The letter says MTS Builders and William Anderson would like to request an extension of the fee reduction because of the pandemic that's been ongoing during the period that was covered. This permit fee goes back to 2013. I thought that although Joyce had approved this in the past, I thought I wanted to be sure that there was no appearance of any conflict of interest. So I thought it was best to bring this before the Board of Selectmen and ask them to review it and act on it.
Question?
So that is one piece of correspondence. Yes.
Go ahead,
Question.
Mike.
Did you have a question?
Yeah,
Yes,
you said that was from 2013.
Mhm.
What's
That's-
it for?
That original permit fee was paid.
Yeah,
It was for a new home at 217 Hebrew.
Has the home been built or broken ground?
No,
No, nothing has been started.
Okay, so I
in
assume
fact, the property is currently listed for sale.
he's the developer of, I guess then.
Anderson is the current owner.
MTS would be right. Anderson is the owner.
Okay. And what did we give them for a reduction in the? Because we haven't done anything in essence.
So
Well, we
Right.
did do something in 2014.
So the plans and issued a permit back in 2013
Okay,
after they paid the fee. And Joyce's decision was that she would approve a reduction up to $1,240. And it was a 50% reduction of the fee paid in 2013 minus the state fee And it said the permit had to be from the date of this letter, and that.
Jim, we're losing you. I'm gonna pick up. Stop me if you hear something that you disagree with. Joyce's letter, which is in the packet that came out this afternoon, said the permit, and her letter was dated July 17th, 2019, said a permit application must be pulled within 2 years from the date of this letter. So that would have been July 19th, 21. So they had effectively 8 months from the date of this letter to the initial COVID shutdown, and nothing happened. And this extension technically expired on July 17th, 2021. And now in September of 21, they're coming back and asking for another extension. And the permit originally expired on June 3rd of 2015, and then that was an extension for 180 days.
Just looking at this financially, if we allow them to pay the $1,200 or whatever it is in fees, and the land is sold and they don't go forward, we've got money in the bank. And if they do begin to build, we should have enough money to cover our costs for inspections. So allowing them to do it and hopefully find a buyer for the house they're intending to build doesn't leave us out anything, does it?
Well, this was $1,240 off, not $1,240 for the entire permit. I don't have any idea what the entire permit would have been.
Well, it's got to be $5,000-6,000, right? I would think.
So did they took out a permit and paid the full price and didn't start building?
Correct.
And then when they came to do an extension, instead of paying the full amount again, they were given a reduction. Is that what it is? And now they're looking for another extension? Okay. Isn't that weird? Like, I mean, to take a permit out in 2013 and it's 2021 for just a house?
Well,
No, maybe that's normal and I don't know anything.
if they were going to build one on spec, they might have gone ahead and done it, but they may be looking for a buyer for their property before they start. And rather
And they
than
want to
lay
have the
out,
permit ahead?
yeah, or lay out, want to lay out the money kind of thing.
Or they
Okay.
may have had a buyer, and when things went to hell in a handbasket.
Yep.
And there we are.
Well, that's happened a couple
So
of
this,
times.
Yeah.
this is basically a credit of the permit. If you approve the extension, would be granting them a credit of that amount of $1,240 newly applied permit. And that is 50% of what the permit was in 2013.
And what would the permit be now? About a third of that would be about a third now.
It would depend on the construction value of the proposed.
Right.
Okay.
My only question would be,
So I would imagine,
Dee, did you have a question?
yeah, my only question would be, is there any other possibilities? In other words, is this a precedent? A precedent?
Yeah, I think the question, Jim, is how many other situations like this do we have around town?
none.
Thank you. Then I would move that we allow the extension.
I second that.
You have to have a time frame, right?
I was gonna say, I think we need a time frame.
Yeah,
Additional year? Or if he takes out a new permit, which he's gonna, this is what it is, he's getting a new permit, he gets 2 years, right, Jim?
Permit is only good for 100 days unless
For
Be
how many
working.
days?
only 180 days from the time of application to the time of expiration, nothing.
Huh, I thought it was longer than that.
Well, if we amend
If
or,
they start working project, if they get on the project and don't abandon work, the permit continues until the work is complete. But they can't abandon work for of 180 days or greater.
Okay. So we follow allow them to to have the reduction as long as they follow the rules. The 180 days and they begin work and they don't stop any period of time for more than 180 days.
well, I think what your extension is going to do, Bob and Mike, is give them 180 days to apply for a new permit. And I'm not sure that's enough time.
That's correct.
So maybe, Mike, your additional 1 year to apply for the new permit.
yeah. Applying now would mean to be applying for the winter season.
Right. Right.
And that wouldn't make,
Nobody's gonna build,
nobody's gonna do that, right?
No.
but
So we,
by spring,
yeah,
Right.
we could give them a year. That's not, I mean, it's not going to cost us anything.
No,
true.
Yeah.
So Bob D, are you okay with time limiting a year for
Just
the
for-
permit application?
Yes,
Mike,
Yeah,
you
that-
seconded that. Are you
So
okay
Mike-
with
Mike-
that?
I'm good.
Okay,
one
Bob
question,
Mora, go ahead.
and that
I
is,
have one
oh, go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
question though.
Yep,
Would it be 1 year from the date of expiration of the extension or 1 year from today?
that was my comment. I was
Oh,
gonna suggest
Good point.
that it be from that July date.
I don't have a feeling one way or the other on that, so I can go either way, whatever
And-
everybody else wants.
Bob DiPietro is nodding his head yes, so
It's fine
I'm
with
just
me.
gonna restate what I believe the current motion is, that we grant MTS Builders and William Anderson a 1 year extension from July 19th, 2021 to apply for a building permit at 217 Hebron Road and receive the previously awarded $1,240 credit towards that permit.
Sounds good to me.
okay,
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor, I'm going to do a roll call. Miller,
Aye.
Mora,
Aye,
DePietro,
aye,
Aramita.
Aye.
Huron votes aye, so that's unanimous. Okay. Let's see. Jim, did you get any applications for the Public Building Commission?
No, you have one more piece of correspondence though.
Okay, go ahead.
Was
Oh, the solar
correspondence
carport.
from the Energy Committee Chairman. You want to go through that, Sandy, real quick?
Sure. Sure. We've
I don't-
been
Requires any,
asked,
I don't believe it requires any action.
no, I think it's just informational, but we've been asked by the Green Bank to update our letter of intent so that they can take the solar carport project for Bolton High School back to the solar bidding process in the municipal assistance program. And that will happen in late October. So the Energy Commission put together this update for us. It basically took all of the dates on the prior letter and changed them to 2021. You'll remember that last year, when we did go out to bid on this, nobody bid on just a carport. So we're hoping we get better results this time. So Jim and I'll get that letter back out to the green bag folks. Okay, Jim, now can I move on?
That application is, yeah, the application is due to go in on the 10th
Okay,
from the green.
the 10th of September or October?
September 10th.
Ah, that's a hurry up. Okay,
Yeah, I don't think they require us to do anything, Sandy. That was just a communication from Emily Basham that I got. I think it might have come in Friday after close of business.
I think you're right. They do need some names, so feel free to put your name on that slot.
Okay, I can do that.
All right, appointments, Public Building Commission. I don't believe we have received any applications yet. Is that true?
That's correct.
Okay. We are looking for people to serve on the Public Building Commission. So if you hear of anyone, please have them fill out an application.
And it's someone
ahead.
who's not holding an office, right?
It should be someone who's not holding an elective office
Okay,
and cannot be anyone whose employer may intend to bid on any portion of the projects we
Right.
have proposed.
yeah, okay.
I'm not sure there's too many people like that out there, but we
No.
need to look for them. Subcommittee reports. Jim, do we have anything we need to bring the group up? I feel like we've been talking to each other at least once a week,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I think every, the only committee I think last meeting was the personnel.
Right, and we were working on the
The
personnel manual.
Right.
Yeah.
And we made really good progress.
That we did make some good process. Properties and facilities report. I don't believe we had any additional flooding. And as Jim notes in his report, most of the repairs have been made from Storm Henri and Ida. I don't believe there's anything under open space and management.
Correct.
That moves us to the 21 budget report.
Everybody got in their package. I look at it, there are red flags in this budget report. It has worked on making encumbrances on a fair amount of our budget so they know where we ultimately should land at the end of the year, as long as things don't give us any surprises. Is there any specific questions on the current budget report that
No, but I think, Jim, can you share the amount of the fire truck repair invoice?
Yes. That invoice, I think last week, Sandy, if I'm not mistaken, that invoice has gone to be paid. It was $9,999.
59? He cut out.
No, no.
39, I believe.
39. Okay.
39.99, as close to 40 as you can
$39.99.
get without being it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Got it.
Yep.
Got it.
thank you. I didn't hear it either.
He said he was
think-
going to try to be under 40.
Well, he did manage,
Yep.
so our kudos for him for that.
Yes.
A bill like that was worth waiting 2.5 months for.
Yep.
And that gets paid out of last year's?
Correct.
Okay.
Moving on to.
Any other
budget-
questions on the current budget?
Sorry.
I
Was
don't
there
see
any other questions on the current budget?
No,
Mm-mm.
No,
on this year's or last year's? 'Cause I had no questions on either,
Current year.
at least not yet.
Nor did I, it's too soon.
Yep.
Let's see, report on budget transfers. We have one budget transfer request from the Fire Commission from categories repairs and maintenance to a new category called transportation, which are costs to move the new service truck from Connecticut to Virginia and back. It went to Virginia to get, I believe, drawers installed, Mike, is that correct?
It's the whole console that goes in the back of the truck. It's fairly significant. It's a lot of cabinetry. And when it finally gets back here, you need to make a trip down there and take a peek at it because it's quite impressive. And the people do quite an interesting job. I've never worked with them before, but the pictures I've seen, I haven't seen the actual thing yet, but the pictures look quite impressive. So
So let me see if I understand it. We don't really have a category for this, so is finance asking us to create a category and then transfer into that? Okay, thank you.
Mhm. It's not an additional appropriation. It's a
Right.
movement
It's
within
just,
the
okay,
accounts.
that's what it looked like. It was hard to read what was on there. So
Yep.
Someone writes as bad as I do.
me too.
All right. Do you need a motion on that, Sandy?
Yes,
I'll move the approval of the transfer of funds from repairs to the new category, transportation.
okay. Is there a second to that?
Second.
I think we lost Bob DiPietro. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, Bob Mora,
Aye.
Mike Aramita,
Aye.
Kim Miller.
Aye.
I don't see Bob DiPietro at the moment.
Nope.
Pirog votes aye, so that's unanimous. There is also in your packet some transfers that were under the
5,000 limit.
yeah, under the, thank you, Mike, 5,000 limit in the prior thing, including $205 for tipping services that related to a mid-NEROC bill from not the last fiscal year, but the prior fiscal year that they presented to us in April. And we fought and they said no. So it's paid and we told them that's the last time we'll pay a year-old bill. So hopefully they've learned that we pay attention to those things.
Oh,
Did they
those-
forget to bill us or something?
I don't know if they forgot to bill us or it was just something that why it came up. It was for disposal fees for the hazardous waste that goes to Mid-Nerock.
Ah, that's why. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not our regular tipping fees. It's
No, no.
Mid-Nerock.
No.
That's,
No.
yeah, because our regular tipping fees, that'd be a pittance to that. But
Yeah.
Mid-Nerock is a different story. Okay.
Yeah,
That makes,
yeah, that's like a half a street for
yeah.
tipping, half a street for a week for tipping fees. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, moving on. We have in the packet a proposal on the regulation for possession of cannabis. Yeah, I think was that in this afternoon's packet?
I don't remember seeing that one.
Me neither.
Yeah, it is. It's item
Okay, yeah, oh, that's
7B
why I
in
picked
this
it up.
afternoon, in
This
the
that
packet
was in
that
this
came this
afternoon.
afternoon.
Oh, no.
And it reads,
Yes, that's in the supplemental package.
yeah. The bringing in, use, possession, or consumption of marijuana in any town building or on town property, including but not limited to Bolton Heritage Farm, Herrick Park, Indian Notch Park, and Freesia Park, is prohibited. This violation shall be deemed to be an infraction and subject to a fine not to exceed $100 for each violation. I think this covers the suggestions we made at our last meeting. The only thing that concern that I have is should we say marijuana / cannabis, or is just marijuana enough? We'll have to run this by the town attorney either
Yeah.
way, but
Yeah, does cannabis cover medical grade products?
it could, but the regulations on medical grade say that you can only consume medical grade in your own personal residence.
Right.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
It
Yep.
doesn't, yeah, I didn't
Okay.
know that until Jim pointed it out to us at our last meeting.
Okay. It sounds fine to me either way then.
Do you want, we can make a motion to adopt it as it reads, subject to a review by the attorney in case he may want to change that wording.
Mhm.
And I'll make that a motion.
Okay, Bob, it's been moved. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll do it.
Okay,
Kim finished.
seconded by Mike
Either one.
Aramita.
Yep.
Is there any further discussion on this motion? Hearing none. Maura,
Aye.
Aramita,
I,
Miller,
I,
Pirog votes aye. That's unanimous. Consider and possible action on the signs from Bolton Lake. That's in the original packet.
Yep.
remember we had asked, or I had asked the question, if we put these signs up, do we have to qualify if we're putting salt down on the roads? Are we going to be putting ourselves in a situation where we're interfering with the watershed? And, is it going to the private roads as well, if they're plowed and salted? Are they going to be subject to something different under the watershed rules if we adopt these signs?
I don't know the answer to that. Jim, were you
That-
able to?
that- That does not appear to be the issue. Really, these signs are just informational to make aware that they're within a watershed. You know, this is not a drinking. The idea is that Friends of Bolton Lake is that if people are aware, perhaps there'll be more trouble about their activities around the lake area, which might help with the nutrients that are going into the lake.
Right.
I'm just concerned that if we put up a sign acknowledging that that's watershed, then somebody could say, I see on your sign it's watershed, you shouldn't be putting salt down here. And I just don't want us to get into a situation where we're hurting ourselves. I understand completely the idea behind it, but you know, it is a watershed. We acknowledge that it's a watershed. So, you know, we're probably already in that situation, but I just wouldn't want anybody to hold us to task about plowing, or the people that do the plowing on the private roads that are down in that area and salting or whatever.
Well, if I may, there's much larger watersheds around that interstate highways go through, or other highways. And
Yeah, I know. Bolton
yeah,
Pond.
I don't know of any regulations that there are none that, I mean, we don't have a regulation in our town that said if it's that, you cannot salt the roads or sand the roads or anything like that.
Okay.
What I think you're saying is, if someone sees the sign, some real advocate might say, hey.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Well, that's always a possibility, because obviously with the washout we've had a lot of publicity about the watershed, the extent of the watershed as that whole group. And quite frankly, a regulation like that would have to go through, you know, our process, our town process. And, you know, I still have confidence that common sense does still live here on a local level. and I'll leave it at that. Once we get beyond that, forget it.
Yeah, I can yield to common sense, I hope.
Depends what street you live on.
Or time of day, right?
Yep.
So do we have to do anything, or are they just, I don't remember if we
We
had
just
actually
need to
agreed
give them
have put
permission
up-
to do it.
Okay,
The locations they were looking for, a sign westbound near the intersection of South Road on 44, an eastbound side on the intersection with Vernon Road, on Quarry Road, opposite the driveway for 40 Quarry Road, and on Tolland Road facing northbound traffic near the entrance to Indian Notch Park.
okay.
And they have, excuse me, applications for encroachment permits that Jim can execute for state approval. So I think a motion wouldn't hurt.
Well, since I'm the one that says I think common sense can rule, then I'll move the motion.
All right.
I'll
is there-
second it.
Mike seconded it.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Maura,
Aye.
Aramita?
Aye.
Miller?
Aye.
Pirog votes aye, that's unanimous. Next is the discussion on Andover response to the stop sign ahead at Webster Lane. Jim, I need you to talk about this.
Where's Webster Lane again?
At the last,
Just before the S curves going down Hebron Road as you go into Andover,
is
last road on the right. before you go out of town.
Oh, I know. Yes, got it.
It leads to Castle Rock.
Yep. I know where it is. Thank you. Sorry.
No problem.
So at the last meeting, we had a pretty good discussion along Hebron Road. And part of that discussion was that we would likely want to also install stop ahead, ahead of the new stop signs or new traffic pattern ahead or along those lines.
Yeah.
And I to Eric Anderson and requested that Selectmen in Andover look and consider an act on from the Bolton Board of Selectmen. I did receive some communication, Eric, a couple of times, but at the end of the day, he drafted a resolution, his Board of Selectmen, and then they approved the installation of that sign.
Okay, so
You want me to also share? Would you like me to also share some information I collect on the stop signs?
yes. Please.
So you had asked that we of LED stop signs, and I pushed that task off to our highway foreman, and he looked at it and he talked with a couple of different people, and signs are in fact close to $1,000 installed for a sign that is of good quality. The issue is apparently what happens is that's the cost of the sign, and they flash 20.
Jim, we're losing your conversation.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, my unfortunately, I'm having internet issues. I apologize. So the cost of the sign is about $2,000, but they flash 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Inevitably, what happens is constituents complain about that, and the town ends up spending another $2,500 or so to put in controls that don't make that, that allow the signs to flash 24/7. I believe they're proximity sensors that get installed down the street, so they flash when there's approaching traffic. So those LED signs are quite expensive.
I think they're a valuable tool. Whether they're that valuable is questionable. I think if we go with what we had talked about, just the regular ones, and see if it improves our incident of accidents at those intersections, then we can make a decision on whether we want to go further with the cost. To date, I don't know of any accident at Webster. I haven't responded to any there. The other two, yes, for sure, but not that one.
Yeah, the Webster Road one has a history of folks in that area saying they have difficulty exiting that road because of the very limited line of sight coming from the Andover, particularly the Andover side.
Yeah,
And it's
the street department went down there and cleared quite a bit of it out.
Yeah,
So there's a pretty good line of
I know.
sight now, but that one, that one hasn't had any incidents
No,
to warrant the additional cost.
right.
for sure.
Regular old stop signs would work there.
And I think
And
we
the
try
problem-
them at the others and see.
Right.
If we still have problems, then we may have to do something else. But so do we need a motion to go ahead with that, or are we all set?
I don't think so. I think we had the motion last
We already did.
Month.
Right.
That's what I thought.
to
Yeah.
go ahead. It was just, we were investigating the cost of the
LEDs.
LEDs, which I thought were about what they cost, and you thought they couldn't have been that expensive, but
I can't believe it, but that's just the world today.
Yeah, exactly. All right, discussion of use of Everbridge. That also was in the second package today. It's item 7E in the second package. Severe weather, road closures due to accidents, referendum, election voting, Bolton Lake treatments, algae notifications closing, health concerns, COVID, police incidents, lockdowns, and any other public service notifications deemed of importance at the discretion of the first selectman or his or her designee. I think we've got it narrowed to a pretty usable list, and
We left ourselves a caveat to do it when we need to also.
exactly.
Yep.
Yep.
I know I get regular Everbridge notifications from the first selectman of Branford, who tells me what streets have trees down. I'm not sure I want to go quite that far, but
No.
it is helpful. All right. Can I have a motion to accept the Everbridge approved use list? Kim?
Make a motion to,
I'll second.
All right, it was moved by Kim Miller, seconded by Mark Garamita. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
aye,
Okay, everybody is voting aye. That's unanimous. Special events permit fees. We had talked about this at our last meeting. The base fee going up from 150 to 150 for special events. $50 for each discipline, building or fire to a nonprofit during work hours, $65 per hour for each discipline for nonprofit off hours, including employee travel time, $50 per hour for each discipline during work hours, minimum of 1 hour, billed in 15 minutes after the first hour, and $80 per hour for each discipline off work hours, including travel time for employees, minimum of 1.5 hours, billed in 15-minute increments after the first hour, 1.5 hours. And then all applicants are responsible for fees related to state trooper requirements, any other permits required by building, fire, and health. And the Board of Selectmen may waive any fees they deem appropriate upon written request. I believe that hits all of our concerns and also gives us an out should we find someone finds this onerous.
Well, there might be some, a fundraiser that really is small, but you know, these fees would wipe out most of their funds.
Mhm.
And they can ask us to waive it.
Exactly.
Yeah, a good example of that would be the tractor pull or the tractor show at the town green.
Yeah.
Those fees would wipe that out, even though it's a nonprofit kind of thing and good of the town. So we can waive all of that if we want.
Well, that was sponsored by the town anyway,
Right.
so
Right.
we wouldn't have
You wouldn't
charged
have to,
ourselves a fee.
right.
Yeah,
But-
but that type of thing is what I'm
Yeah.
getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, or, you know, the nursery school doing some kind of an event.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so the only change here was the waiver of the fees as you requested at our last meeting.
Okay, can I have a motion to accept the change in special events permit fees?
I'll move it.
Sure.
Go ahead,
All right,
Bob.
Mike
I'll
moved,
second-
Bob
I'll
Morris
second
seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, Bob Mora,
Aye.
Mike Aramita,
I,
Kim Miller,
Aye.
Pirog votes aye, so that is also unanimous. Thank you. I don't believe we have any other ongoing business. Is that correct?
there,
I agree.
what
Okay.
was the item on the cemetery contract or something?
We're
Was that-
coming. That's new business.
Okay, all right. I'm under the wrong
Um,
section.
The cemetery contract, we're now back to the original packet. The contract with United Cemetery Services, who is our current contractor, expires on November 30th, 2021. We originally gave them a 6-month contract because we were concerned about their performance and the complaints by residents of the care of the cemetery. And when we did go out to bid in April, United Cemetery Services was the only company who did bid. So we need to review the contract, see if there are any items that we need research on so that we can go out to bid no later than our October meeting.
Just, excuse me, just one question. I think we had, in the past, we had talked about the possibility of actually having if you will, a landscape firm do the mowing, the trimming, and anything other than those issues related to actual burials and placements and this and that. I don't, is that a possibility, or does that even make any sense? I just bring it up
Certainly.
because we had talked about it and it kind of just left there. I'm not sure. Yeah.
We had actually talked about giving it to the town park department
Yeah, but that
as
was,
a possibility. But will these people bid on it if they don't get the whole package? You know, We
well,
won't know that until we try.
I don't know.
That's exactly right. And
Right.
we could, I mean, we would still need them, it to go down the list.
Right,
Item 3 is mowing, weed whacking. Item 4 is spring and fall cleanups to include small branches, twigs, leaf removal.
right.
I don't,
Yeah,
I think
those
we
are the real
could
landscaper
separate-
type. Yeah, those are landscaper type items.
right, right.
Yeah.
And I don't see any reason we can't ask for a separate quote.
Right,
I think that'd be good. Then we can put that out as a separate thing and see if anybody, we have several local landscapers, maybe one of them will jump on it.
And most of well, we've had a few snafus of every kind
Mhm.
with this particular group, but all right, so Jim, I think our next steps here are to come up with a request for proposal or bid on cemetery services and cemetery landscape
maintenance.
maintenance. And allow people to bid on one or both. And
Yeah,
we can
I can work
approve-
on that.
We can approve that at our October meeting, and then at the November meeting, award the contract. That should give people, I would hope, enough time,
Sure.
if we have a month, to get a bid put together. All right. I did not get a chance today to check the COVID reports, but as of last Friday, we had 321 cases, of which 4 cases were reported on Thursday. So, excuse me, over the last 2 weeks, we've had 9 COVID cases. We remain a light yellow town in a sea of red towns. Andover has not had any cases now in about 4 weeks. So they are one of the 4 or 5 towns in the entire state who are gray. The majority of towns are red. So COVID is not behind us yet.
No.
And I don't have any other, but Mike, I have a question for you.
Yep.
At our last meeting, I know you were going to follow up with the guy from the Assistance to Firefighters grant
Yes.
about the issue of getting from more than one vendor. How's that coming along?
I haven't discussed it with him because I'm going to search out a couple of vendors as complete builds.
Oh,
Just to get an idea what kind of price they're talking, whether it would put us over the price that we have available. And then I'll get with Dave Parr, and if we choose to go a complete build, and if it's within our price range, then we'll maybe consider that. If not, maybe a partial build where we buy the chassis and the body and send it out to have the pumps and all of that put on. It'll be a kind of a little bit of a mixture, I think, of what we're going to do. And then I'll speak to Dave and make sure he gives us good direction as to how to proceed with the bookkeeping, and make sure he gets it to Jill so that finance knows exactly what they have to do. He has a pretty good outline to follow as it is, but like he said, he wanted to talk if we're going to do it, build it as you go, so to speak. There's not a lot. There's not a lot to it. It's a truck, it's a body, it's a skid unit, and a winch, and a few other things that all come together. And it's really not a hard assembly thing because everything kind of pushes and snaps together, so to speak. And it's not a complicated piece of equipment like a pumper or the truck that's down in Virginia right now with all the compartments and everything, because the compartments on this would be pretty much the diamond plate toolboxes that you'd see on a contractor's truck and things like that. So, hopefully by this time next month, I'll have a little bit better information as to which way we're going, and have spoken to Dave and have some real information to report on.
okay. Thank you for that update.
No problem.
As I mentioned to you last week, the contract does say sole source. So we are going to need Dave's permission to do a component buy when it comes to that.
Yeah. And even at that, almost every fire truck is not a sole source. You buy a truck from one person and they put transmission, rear end, and everything from somebody else. And this guy, well, our tanker is a good example. The chassis came from one company, the tank came from another company. So very rarely is a fire truck a sole source thing anymore, unless you go to somebody like Pierce or E1 who builds the chassis and everything right from the ground up. In this case, I'm sure Dave has worked with people that do this, because sole source is really rare in today's fire truck market, at least with specialty things, like our service truck. That's the same type of thing. Several different vendors are in it, and it comes out that way. But I will make sure that we're on good grounds with Dave, and we're not in any danger of not getting our funding, for sure.
Thank you very much. Jim, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
And we can hear you very well.
Yes.
Well, let's
That got cleared up.
hold this for a minute. So we're ready to do the August highlights.
We are.
So that you should have that in your supplemental package that you received. Some of these things are going to be things that you're aware of because we've discussed them. The notice of grant award for the fair housing plan, notice of the grant award for the brush truck. And please stop me if there's any of these issues, stop and discuss. I've had conversations with Patrick Carney at the Manchester Water Department regarding the possible water line extension into Bolton. Some really good step for me with him is to write a letter making the request for that consideration, which will have to go to his superiors, which are the Manchester Town Council. Also had several discussions with the professors at the UConn program, engineering program, using the water line extension project potentially as a UConn engineering project that they've got enough information. The project has been included in the list of potential projects for students to bid and choose. So we're kind of hopeful that that will happen. We had Tropical Storm Henri with the Emergency Operations Center open for 2 consecutive days. Sandy was there for one of those days, was quite helpful. Fortunately, we had some damage. These were not events that were as bad as they, but none were prepared. Fire department did a great job. The Parks Department did a great job. The Highway Department did a great job. During that storm, we had some damage to Steel Street, which has since been repaired. Stony Road and some other small washouts normally get flooded with very high water, flooded. Although I will say that School Road, these last 2 storms are the first time that School Road has flooded since we've added the second culvert, which probably goes back, Bob, maybe you could help me, 8 or 10 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, at least.
It was some time ago.
Yep.
So that tells you the kind of water that we receive during these things. One individual here on tonight's meeting is very knowledgeable about some water behind Laurie Road as a result of some drainage issues that are part of the High Ridge. We found that a section of pipe put in that actually is a perforated piece of pipe with stone around it. And that perforated pipe has allowed roots to grow into the drainage pipe. And with these abnormal rains that we've had, that has some flooding issues to one backyard in particular. We've identified that issue. We've identified a company to solve that issue for us. The idea is that we're going to go in there and clean those roots out, put a camera in there, make sure there are obstructions. But I suspect that in the long, we're probably going to end up replacing this with a pipe that has no perforations in it. So, our goal is to get that resolved as possible so that no further damage is done, and look for longer term solutions if that warrants based on the inspections that take place. We also responded to Tropical Storm Ida, which fortunately did not create a whole lot of damage for us in Bolton. Most of the damage that we had was done with Henri. We had a sinkhole on Keeney Drive that was identified. That sinkhole road was caused by the people that installed the sewer lines back on Keeney Drive. It appears that they did some damage to some drainage pipe under the road and did a job making a repair. And over time, some soil under the road got sucked into the pipe and created a sinkhole under the road. Unfortunately, another sinkhole in the same location or an adjacent location was identified today. So that is hurting us a little bit with our paving project. Tomorrow, they will continue paving on Tolland Road while our town crew tries to make this repair. on Keeney Drive so that we can continue
Jim, we lost
we'll
you.
cut that section out of the road and make, can you hear me now?
Yep, you're back.
On my back?
Yep.
So going back to this issue on Keeney Drive, it looks like what we're going to be able to do is to make a repair on the second section of Keeney Drive that's adjacent to the first where we've had a sinkhole. We'll get that repaired tomorrow so it doesn't hurt our paving. And if at a later date it becomes another problem, we'll have to cut that section out and replace the pipe, which we can't do now because there's water in the pipe because the level of the lake is too high. Otherwise, we would just try to potentially do that now. But we do have a plan to finish that. This last weekend was the end of the season at the lake. The Indian Notch Park is now closed to the public. And during the summer, we had one closure due to the blue-green algae that lasted about 2 weeks. Milling of Keeney Drive, Town Road is completed and the repaving is in progress. Howard Road was completed today. Town is well underway. As you all know, I've been working very hard to facilitate repairs to Mark Anthony Lane. Last week I had an on-site meeting with Patrice Carson, Lance Dimick, and Gwen Marion at the Bolton Congregational Church. The to start construction on that after the paving is complete this fall. I've had discussions and other communications with a gentleman named Todd Birch from the Connecticut Department of Labor regarding the shortage of qualified building officials. And I've asked to potentially be on a task force to help try to address this concern. Last week, with the help of our state troopers, our appraiser was able to site visit to 65 Shoddy Mill Road. And although we weren't able to view the interior of the house, I was there with the troopers and the appraiser. We had probably the warmest reception that we've ever, and we were allowed to view the exterior of the property without any issue. I don't have the results of that appraisal yet, but I'm hoping that in the next few days.
Yeah.
The other thing, the most recent thing was the issuance of the farm gate permit and the coordination of the public safety measures. And once again, our volunteer fire department, they always step up to the plate. We did have a clinic there for COVID vaccinations. I have not spoken with Rob Miller to find out how that went, but I'm a positive the farm day. Other thing with regard to that is on Friday morning when we had a site visit with the new executive director. First of all, I want to say she just came into this job just before this whole process started. She did a tremendous job. But the other thing is that all the troopers that signed up for this job gave this job back. And Friday morning, we had no troopers for this event. Due to Brian and Dan making phone calls, we were able to get for that event. Those guys really the plate, and Trooper Content gave up his Saturday plan to participate and be a part of that event. I think that really it goes to show of individuals we have serving the town of Bolton as our state troopers. That concludes my August questions on any of those things that we didn't stop or I didn't give you enough detail on. So then the only other thing I think I have for you is the affordable housing memorandum. I'm hoping that you've all seen that and have had an opportunity to look at that. What our involvement and our interim zoning official are proposing is that this really Board of Selectmen issue with input, the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Board of Selectmen. We have some really highly qualified individuals in this fair housing plan. Mike D'Amato, our interim CEO, has done several of these. Everybody knows Patrice's qualifications, and we also have a young man from the Yukon Masters of Public Administration program who is helping us with this, suggesting that they be allowed to work on this, basically get the plan drafted, come to the Board of Selectmen, go to the Planning and Zoning Commission as necessary for input and information, give you guys reports often as you'd like them, but at the end of the day, allow them to move forward with this and then have you guys adopt it basically when it's near completion. So that some feedback on. I don't think I need a motion, but certainly would like to, know what the temperature of the Board of Selectmen is on this particular issue.
Do we contact you? Because I do have a whole.
You can certainly contact. Yeah, you can certainly contact me anytime about this. We'd be happy to give you updates. And I think, what the plan is we would potentially have them come to your October meeting and give you a brief overview of where they're at that point in time.
Okay.
Ask questions and then see you as often as you want them to. But they'll also be reaching out from time to time with questions or soliciting, your viewpoints on certain items.
Okay.
That's good. And just as a point of information, the town pays Patrice and Mike and our intern by the hour, so we'll be tracking. Actually, Mike is on a periodic fee basis, correct, Jim?
So his contract is for a certain number of hours a month. He tends to give us, he's billing us for, which is, often the case with folks like that. Our monthly fee with him is $2,000 and our value.
Okay. Okay, but we do have a grant for $15,000, which can be used to pay these individuals for their
Right.
Extra time on this. Which,
That's
by the way,
correct. And
by the way, Patrice wrote and got for us. So.
And we had some follow-up information we had to provide last week, and we did that.
Okay. Unless I hear an objection, which I'm not seeing, I think, Jim, you can continue along these lines, and thank you for shepherding this process. It would be
Glad to help.
helpful when they come in October, if they could talk to us about what the state requirements for this affordable plan are. Just so that everybody here knows what our ultimate goal is and what criteria we have to meet.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other?
That concludes my report for tonight, unless anybody has any questions.
Nope, I think I'm good. Is there any other business any of the selectmen have to come before us tonight? Mike?
Yes, we put aside money this year for a, basically an estimate of what it would cost to do the addition to the firehouse.
Uh-huh.
And we've sat down and we've come to a pretty good conclusion as to what is feasible and what's not feasible to do to it. But now we need to do an RFP to hire a consultant or architect or whoever to actually give us a cost factor on this thing. Is that something that I can work with Jim and bring back, or how do we do that?
That's the responsibility of the Public Building Commission.
BC has to do that. Yeah. I mean, right.
Okay.
So we need to get that group impaneled and up to speed, and then you can proceed.
Okay. All right. Just let me know when, and I'll bring them all the information that I can.
Well, you'll be on the appointing panel, so.
Yes. Yeah, the Board of Selectmen can't put out that RFP. It has to go through the Public Building Commission just for a study. Because there's no actual action to be taken at this time. It's just a study to figure out feasibility and cost.
Let's put it this way, if we can't put a Public Building Commission together in October, then I'll reconsider my Public Building Commission decision, but I think it truly is the job of the Public Building Commission
You should
to
have,
hire architects and work with them.
even if you appoint this board as a temporary
Well, we could do that.
for that
We've
project.
done that before.
We really should have that, because that's a procedure it's a good procedure. We follow it through all the time. And there are ways of, Mike, of dealing with that issues, and that's just one of them, but.
Okay. All right. As long as, I just don't want it to fall through the cracks and not get,
Right.
at least started on.
Nope, I agree.
Nope,
Okay.
No.
All right.
And just in other information items, after our last meeting, we submitted the charter revision questions and the fire truck question to the town clerk, and she has submitted them to the Secretary of State's office for approval on the ballot. I'm told that's pretty much just to make sure we're not violating state statutes with any of it. And since attorneys advised us on both questions, I think we're in good shape there. And as I mentioned at our last meeting, we have to go to Board of Finance. Their next meeting is, let me pull up the calendar for a second. September 16th. And I have asked the chair of the Board of Finance to include it on their agenda. I haven't heard back yet, but I don't think there'll be an issue with that. So.
Okay. Cool.
Anything else? All
Is
right,
it
then this
Motion in
meeting,
order for adjournment?
yes, it is.
Also move.
Aye.
I'm
You
assuming
seconded?
that I is the second and
Yes.
it's
Second
unanimous.
and a vote.
Unanimous
All
vote.
right, night all. We'll talk to you soon.
Good night,
Okay.
thank you.
Good night.
Night, everybody.
Bye, everyone.